Hi there, welcome to my channel and welcome to part 6 of Takeover Tuesday. In the last part, Madeline applied to university and we randomised the course, and the course she got was a distinguished degree in art history. Madeline has no painting and no writing skills, which apparently is at least 2 of the skills that she's going to need for the course. So at the end of my last playthrough for last week's episode, I just had her immediately start on her homework. As I often find is the case with university, when you put your applications in, unless you time it really well, she will be starting her classes midweek. It's Thursday afternoon, so her first day will be Friday, so her week will run Friday to Thursday, which is sometimes a good thing because it gives you the weekend to work on any coursework, and for this particular course she had a presentation. As per the rules, she is doing 3 modules per week, which was the minimum amount I needed her to do. I didn't want to risk taking on 4, given that she doesn't have the skills needed. So for those 3, she's got 2 exams and 1 presentation. So I've just put the board into her house. I'm going to get her to do all the homework. At this point, she'll probably just have enough to do the homework, and I'll probably get her to do the presentation over the weekend. And I'm going to have to put a bit of time into building her skills. So in this episode, I'm probably going to be buying the coursework book for the art history course, and I'll get her to study that as well, and hopefully that'll help bring her grade up. As per the rules of this challenge, I need her to graduate with a minimum of a GPA of B. So it's going to be an uphill struggle, unfortunately. That being said, I will kick off this week's episode. I closed last week's episode with Madeline in bed. She didn't get a lot of her homework done, so in the morning she'll be doing her garden. At the moment she is getting up quite early, so hopefully she'll have time to do a little bit more homework before she has to start her classes. She's going into Friday. On Friday she has 2 classes, and on Thursday she just has 1. I need to get her to do the rest of Friday's homework in the morning if I can. If not, she'll hopefully have time to do it between the 2 classes. And then I'll need to get her to do what will be Tuesday's homework because we're moving into the weekend. And once she's had her day of classes on Friday, she'll then have Monday's homework to do as well. And then over the weekend, as I said, I'll get her to work on her presentation. Madeline naturally woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to take down these holiday decorations. I can't remember because it's been over a week since I last played this because I'm running behind a little bit. If Love Day was yesterday, I think it probably was, so take the decorations down. And since she's up nice and early, I should have time to get her to tend her garden and do a bit of homework before she has to go into class today. Since it is a little bit early for Madeline to be doing the garden, I'll get her to interact with Blarfy a little bit because he's not at his happiest state. He's got his neutral face on. So I'll get her to interact with him for a little bit, and then it should be time for her to do her garden. She does have quite a bit of funds. She's got over 20,000 simoleons. So hopefully before she's finished this week of classes, I can get her moved into the next house, which is already built. We built that, can't remember if it was last week or the week before. And I would like to get her moved into that in this week's episode if possible. And Blarfy's got his happy face on again, so that's good. I'll get Madeline to get on with tending to her garden because it is now past 5 o'clock. And she needs to have a shower and go to the toilet, and then once she's done all of that, she'll hopefully have some time for doing some coursework. So after tending the garden, Madeline has 24,000 simoleons, so she's looking in a pretty good position. Once she gets up to 30,000, I'll move her to the next house over. So I think she got between 2,000 and 3,000, well she must have got between 2,000 and 3,000 simoleons this morning. So another 2 to 3 days and I should be able to move her along. I'm having her work on her presentation now because she is actually up to date with her homework. I'd done more than I thought at the end of the last episode, so I'll get her to do that just now, and she's coming along quite nicely with her aspiration as well. I'll get her to do the grafting of the plants and the fertilising of the plants, just doing that at every opportunity anyway. And then the only other point is to get the gardening skill up, which will happen with her tending the garden every day anyway. So she'll probably achieve that part of the aspiration soon. Although she will achieve that part of the aspiration quite soon, or achieve that milestone, I'm not really in a hurry and I'm not really heavily focusing on that right now because obviously my concern right now is the university course. It's going to be quite difficult to get that sorted out. And it is Love Day today, so I took the decorations down too soon. Not that it makes any difference because putting up decorations isn't one of the activities for this holiday. But I will not be doing any of the activities for Love Day because I have far too many other things to do. So unfortunately that means Madeline will have a sad moodlet tomorrow. So Madeline's away at her first class, and when she comes back I'm going to get her to vote on the neighbourhood action plans just to make sure I don't end up with a rubbish one. In terms of neighbourhood action plans, there's not a lot of good ones, so I'm just going to vote for Foodies Unite, which I know means I'm going to have a lot of the guests making white cake in my house, but it's better that than the ones that are the preserve energy and preserve water. I had those when I did a legacy challenge to try to get the alphabet legacy achievement, and it was just incredibly annoying. I didn't vote on any neighbourhood action plans, and I ended up with both the preserve energy and the preserve water one. And it just made things horrendous because I seem to think that the water and the energy goes off for quite a long time, and it certainly felt like it. And it was always when I needed it the most. So I'd rather people were making cakes than I had Madeline struggling because she can't have a wash or vacuum her house when it's dirty. While Madeline is doing her homework, I am going to buy the university coursework book for her art history degree. And I'm glad it's art history because that's near the beginning of the alphabet, so I'll find it nice and quickly. I have found in the past when I have randomised a course or gone for a university course that the sim hasn't been very qualified for, that if you get this book and have them study the modules that they're currently working on that week, if you have them study from the book for those modules for even just an hour, I find that massively helps with their grades. So even though she doesn't have very high art and writing skills, hopefully if she studies from that book every week for the courses that she's currently doing, it should help her grades. Madeline has completed her first day at university, which was the Friday, so we're now going into the weekend. I'm not going out with Rory because she's already really tired. I'm going to have her do her homework. She fertilised her garden because it was due to be fertilised, and she's actually checked off part of that milestone of her aspiration now. So over the weekend I'll probably get her to do the grafting, and then I just need to get her skill level up, and that will be her completed that milestone on her aspiration as well. So that's been a pretty good week for her. And as I expected, Madeline's woken up sad because she didn't get to do any of the activities for Love Day, unfortunately. I maybe should have cancelled the holiday. And to be honest, if I'm playing this file a long time, I might go in and change some of the holidays in the calendar anyway, because it will be hard to hit some of them. But at least it's the weekend. If she'd been sad on a weekday when she had to go to classes, it might have been a bit more of an issue for me. But as it is, I'm just going to get her to carry on doing her usual. I'll get her doing her garden here. And once we get to 30,000 simoleons, which we're quite close to already at 23,000, I'm going to move her to the next house. That's Madeline got up to level 5 of the gardening skill, so at level 6 she'll have checked off another part of that milestone. So I'm just going to get her to do the grafting just now as well, and that means all I then have to do is get her gardening skill up one level more, and then that will be her on to the next milestone of her aspiration. So I was having a quick look there to try and decide what to do, and the roses are going to be going out of season in summer, and we're near the end of the spring season, whereas the birds of paradise stay in season in summer. So I'm going to take from the birds of paradise and put them onto the rose bush rather than the other way around. Also, the birds of paradise are worth more, so it makes more sense to put them onto the roses rather than the other way around and lose some of the birds of paradise. I don't think crossing roses and birds of paradise creates anything new, so I think what will happen when I do that is I'll just end up with those rose bushes producing both roses and birds of paradise. The bonus of that is it does mean, because the birds of paradise are worth more, she'll actually be earning more from her garden every day now as well. And there we go, that's her, got those 2 steps on this milestone of her aspiration. So again, just have to get her up to level 6 with her gardening skill, and that will happen naturally anyway with her tending the garden every day. With that progress on her aspiration, I'm going to now spend some of the satisfaction points that Madeline has earned. So I'm going to go with some of the ones that I usually always buy. I like Gym Rat because it means when they exercise they don't get dirty as quickly and they enjoy exercising, so it helps their fun need, and I love that observant trait. I just think it makes everything so much easier. Even if just one sim in your household has it, it makes it easier to figure out what's going on with other sims, because I find since the life and death now, using the get to know and deep conversations, you used to be able to find out a sim's traits, but it seems to be that when you choose those options with a sim you've just met now, the first thing they do is ask them how much money they have, which isn't helpful when you're just trying to find out what the sim's traits are. So it's easier just to have that observant trait. And I've gone for waterproof as well, because she's outside all the time doing the garden, and the last time she was out she was getting pretty miserable being out in the rain, so that will help stopping her getting the uncomfortably wet moodlet when she's doing the garden in rainy weather. The house was dusty, so I've had Madeline do some vacuuming and that'll give her a focused moodlet. I'm then going to have her practice her presentation rather than go straight to refine and organise. Normally when they do the first draft of the presentation on a term paper, it's poor quality, and then when you go back in and edit or refine and organise, it brings it up to excellent or outstanding. But because her skill is so low, I'm going to have her practice the presentation to help build some skill points before I get her to go in and refine and organise it. And then next week, she's got 2 classes on the Monday and only 1 on the Tuesday. So on the Tuesday, I'll get her to deliver the presentation. That way it's done and out the way. And going forward, that will be how I'll be doing things. Although the week starts on the Friday and she'll only have had 1 day of classes before the weekend, I'll spend the weekend doing any presentations or term papers, and I'll submit or present them as near to the beginning of the week as possible. And there we go, practicing the presentation already. She's building charisma practicing it, but her writing skill just went up because the presentation is based around the writing skill, or the class that it's for is based around the writing skill. Nyan is inviting Madeline to the Romance Festival. I wasn't going to go, but I think I will just play devil's advocate and go along with him. I can tell without actually looking into the details of it that he has a crush on Madeline, so I'll maybe develop that a little bit, because I noticed that she has acquired the single and loving it lifestyle. One of the worst things about the lifestyles in the game that come with the Snowy Escape expansion pack. So one of the things I don't like is the lifestyles that come with that. Some of them are not too intrusive, but that one can be a little bit annoying when you do then try to go and have a relationship, and it develops so quickly as well. Your Sims don't have to be single long for them to develop it. But I'm gonna bring this along. I don't really want her to get into a marriage or a committed relationship too soon, and that's another thing that the game sometimes does. It sometimes autonomously has partners proposing and asking to move in and wanting to get married and wanting to have babies, and we're not really ready for that in this particular playthrough. But I'm gonna just do maybe a little bit of the festival related activities and interactions with Nyan, and I'll just see how it plays out, and if it does work out that they're gonna be interested in each other and want to get together, then I won't stop it from happening. I did the interaction of pour Sakura tea together, and for whatever reason, Madeline and Nyan have both got a cup of tea and they've sat down at separate tables. And they're not speaking to each other. So it's not exactly going very romantically so far. I'm going to check in with the love guru here and see what she says about Madeline's romantic destiny. Not expecting anything spectacular, because Madeline hasn't really done a lot of romantic interactions so far. I'm also going to introduce myself to the love guru because I've been given an objective for this event to meet 2 people that Madeline hasn't met yet. So I will introduce myself to 2 new people, Angela Pleasant here as well, who's doing that painting of Jim Pickens. I'll introduce myself to the 2 of them. That gives me that objective achieved, and that will give me the satisfaction points. And the love guru is a love bug. She's adventurous and she's a recycled disciple. That's quite an interesting combination of traits there. I did in one playthrough have a sim who died of anger very early on, like on the 3rd or 4th day of playing. Purely coincidentally, she died of anger. And when the game booted me out to the home screen, I just loaded into one of the homeless townies. And it was interesting just playing with a random character in the game, because you get characters with traits like that you maybe wouldn't normally choose, and aspirations that you maybe wouldn't normally choose yourself. I might do that in one of my playthroughs for my YouTube channel. I might just go in and use a random number generator to randomly pick one of the townies and go and play out their story. But not right now, because I've got a lot going on right now, but that's something I might do in the future. And there we go, that's us got 2 out of 2 for the meat people. So I will now let Madeline just go back to interacting with Nyan and chat if I can find him, if he hasn't left. No, he's still sitting at that table. Okay, that's fine. So we'll go and just have a chat with him and see if anything comes of it. Nyan is already in a flirty mood, I suppose, from drinking the Sakura tea. He's coming over to join this conversation. I meant for Madeline to go over and speak to him, so we're now having a conversation with Angela Pleasant there as well. And it's an unpleasant conversation, so that's not a good start. Okay, yeah, there we go. I can see it openly there. Nyan has a crush on Madeline, even though he didn't like her throwing the petals at him, which I was just doing because it was one of the festival activities. It was a choice to throw petals. But I do now know that he has a crush on her. That's it confirmed. And there it is there. Madeline feels deeply connected to Nyan, which is kind of just like a friendship, a close friendship sentiment, but he has a crush on her. And I think the deeply connected has come because I made them BFFs. I think you more or less automatically get that, or a similar one. So we'll get some Ravenwood rumours from Nyan here. It probably seems weird, but since there's been a lot of death in my family over time, even before I was around, I end up feeling pretty close to death. I mean, Mum's career kind of adds to that, but what I mean is, I'm in those crypts a lot, just wandering around and thinking. I'd say it's a great place to get away from my soon-to-be stepdad, but I can't tell you how often I see him leaving the crypts right when I'm stopping by. Literally any time I ask Nyan about the Ravenwood rumours, he just complains about Lane. He clearly doesn't like Lane. I don't know if Lane is his least favourite stepfather that he's ever had, or soon-to-be stepfather, but he certainly doesn't have anything good to say about him. And this is now becoming an awkward encounter because Angela keeps interrupting when these two are flirting with each other. So I'm going to tell her to just leave because it's starting to become a problem. Okay, she's not happy that I asked her to leave. I don't really care. And it's a suggestive conversation. So there's a little bit of romance developed between these two. So that's fine. I think Madeline's actually happy that she got to ask Angela to leave because she's still a teen, and I did get that notification that she is going through her mean streak right now. You know how the teens and children go through these phases. Madeline's currently going through a mean streak, so she quite liked getting to be mean to someone there. And since First Kiss has appeared as one of the main interactions there, I'm going to do it, and I see that Nyan is shivering because of the cold, so once I've done this I'm just going to end the event early and go home. But I'll just do this just to put it out there that they've had their kiss and it's now an amorous exchange. So I'll just leave it like that. And Diego is standing outside Madeline's house, but it's too late at night. I don't have time to socialise with him. I really need her to go to bed. I don't want her to get into the habit of staying up late, so sorry Diego. I'm going to get Madeline to refine and organise her presentation now. We're on to Sunday, so if I get her to finish that off, she can then deliver that early the next week. The other 2 modules that she's doing are exams, so I will get her to focus on studying those from the coursework book that I've bought for her. I'm just watching to see when the presentation changes to see what condition it ends up in. So there we go, it's the way it looks has changed already. So it's now normal, it's gone from poor to normal. And she is still working on it. Hopefully it doesn't end on normal, hopefully she gets it up to excellent, because that should be enough to get her a decent grade, hopefully at least an A. She doesn't need to get an A overall, but I would rather, especially for these early classes, that she got A's, because I've then got a better chance of getting that overall B if she does fall down with one of the modules in the future. Okay, and it's just changed again, and that's it saying that she's finished with it, and it's excellent. Okay, that's perfect. That's fine. So now you only get 2 shots at it. You get the initial shot and then the refine and organise. It's the same with the reports that they write on the computer. You can do a first draft and then you can edit it once and then that's it. So it's landed on excellent. And given that her skill level in writing isn't especially high, that's as good as I could have asked for. So I'm quite happy with that. This is the romance guru phoning me. Nyan and you are such a great pair, you two should make it something long term. She told me that my romantic destiny didn't look good. Is that her way of phoning and admitting that she was wrong? Madeline's done her gardening and everything else for the day, the presentation's done, so I'm going into the bookcase to get her coursework book, and I'll get her to do a bit of studying for the 2 classes that she's got the exam for, and I'm going to get her to study for at least an hour for each of them. And Nion's calling while I'm in the middle of studying. He's asking me out on a date. I'm going to say yes. I'll study after the date later on, but I am just going to say yes, just to keep the relationship going. I don't want to bring it back down the way at all. Madeline's arrived at the date sad because she thinks that Nion is sad about something, so I guess I'll see if there's a cheer-up interaction we can do. He looks miserable and she looks miserable. It's not a great start to the date. Usually there's in that first menu there's a cheer-up interaction. Maybe it's in Deep Thoughts. You can only ask for... Oh, he's just disappeared. He's just disappeared and I've just got the failed date music. Well, that wasn't because of me. I didn't end that date. That was him that just decided to disappear. Okay, well, that's fine. I'll just go back home and carry on studying then. Diego Lobo wants to come over. I'll just say yes, he's welcome to come over, but I'm not going to stop Madeline from studying. It's helping build her painting and writing skills as well, which is going to help her as well with her exams and with this course in general. I think the third skill, because there's normally 3 skills that you need when you're doing a university course, it'll normally focus on 3 skills. I think the third one might be charisma. I'm not sure if it just appeared to be when she was given that presentation, but I think it might be charisma, the other one, which is okay because her charisma isn't as low as her painting and writing skills are. Also, charisma is quite easy to build. You can build it through choosing certain social options when you're speaking to other Sims. And also, when Madeline interacts with Blarfy, she can gain charisma just by doing certain interactions with him. And they seem to be quite boosted. So her charisma is actually looking quite good. That's Madeline now got more than 30,000 simoleons on Monday morning. So she's got the 2 classes today. I'll get her to focus on that. On Tuesday, she's got the 1 class in her presentation. So I will either move her on Tuesday night or Wednesday morning into her new house. And since she got up quite early, she has quite a bit of time before her first class. I'm just having her work on her research and debate skills. And that's probably what I'll do because she's in the routine of getting up at between 3 and 5 in the morning. Once she's done her garden, assuming that her homework and everything else is up to date, I'll have her work on her research and debate skills. I don't know if it is still giving her any sort of boost towards her studies at this point, but I'm going to carry on with it anyway. I suppose as well, if I got Madeline's research and debate skill all the way up, she could then mentor another Sim in it. So her child, her heir, she could mentor them and help them build their research and debate skill, which would be a bonus because I think they do learn it faster when they're getting mentored. So Madeline's back, and a notification at the top there, that's the notification you get when they're doing well in class. So that's good. That means that class at least is going well. I don't know why she's acting like she's hungry or she wants to be sick, because neither of those are true. But now that she's finished that class, she's got the homework prompt ready for Wednesday's class, so I'll get her to do that in between this and the next class she's got this afternoon. And Madeline's just got the same notification for her afternoon class to say that she's doing well, so that's good. That looks like she's on course to get a good grade for the 2 classes she has on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So the other one is the one where she does the presentation, which is the Tuesday, Thursday class. Hopefully she's doing well in that one as well. And I think when they get that notification, it's maybe an A grade. It certainly should at least be a B, but we'll see how she does at the end of the week. I'm planning on continuing this episode until she's moved into her new house and she has completed her first week of classes so that I can see what grade she ends up on. Oh, Nion's calling again. He's calling about the motive trials. I've never done the motive trials. I don't know if anyone else has, but I have seen some people online say that when you do it, all that happens is your sim disappears for a certain amount of time to a rabbit hole, and when they come back, all their needs are massively depleted, and they don't really gain anything from it. But saying no there, it's negatively affected my friendship with Nion. So I'm not really sure if there is any benefit from doing it. If anyone listening to this has done it and found some big benefit from it, you can maybe let me know. But as far as I'm aware, I'm not missing out on anything by saying no. It's Tuesday morning and Madeline is having the issue that a lot of my Sims have when they go to university, which is they very quickly get tense because you have them doing homework and working on presentations and reports and studying. Their fun need depletes very quickly. But I did receive the earbuds there for free, so I'm going to put them in and have her listen to music while she goes about her morning routine. And yeah, already that's helping bring down her tension, and that'll hopefully give her a nice happy moodlet for the day. So Madeline is quite happy now listening to her cottagecore music because I decided to say yes when she said she wanted to like cottagecore music. So that's fine, and doing the gardening will help with her fun need as well because she enjoys gardening. Madeline's social need is low and it is very early in the morning, so I'm just going to have her talk to her plants. That will help her gardening skill and it will help her social need, because at this time of day I think if I try to phone anyone they're going to tell me they're still asleep, so that's probably the most efficient way to get her social need up. And then I'm going to have her do her presentation because her class today isn't until the afternoon, so I'll get her to give the final presentation, and then when she comes back it'll probably be just about time for her to go to her class for the day. Just having Madeline fill in the time speaking to Blarfy because she can't give her presentation until 8 o'clock, and unfortunately I'd forgotten how early in the morning it was. But that's past 8 o'clock now, so I'll get her to go and give her presentation and get that done and out the way. And Nion's just turned up at the door. I've still got a little bit of time until Madeline goes to her class. I'm going to give him keys for the residence. Since he is a close friend and sort of a boyfriend now, I'll give him keys so that he can just pop on by and visit whenever he feels like it. And of course he's dazed, because everyone in this game is always dazed. But there you go, he's got a key now. So now when he comes by he can just come in, which makes it easier because if Madeline's going to be sitting doing homework, I don't want to have to stop her in the middle of doing her homework to go and let someone into the house. And I think when you give them the keys, if I remember right, that even after you move house, they still have keys and they can still enter the property. So he will now, if he comes around when she's in the middle of studying or doing her presentation or whatever, he can just let himself in. And the good thing about when they're studying or working on their coursework, they can still socialise with a sim in the background and get their social need up. So it's a handy thing for me to have him be able to just come into the house, because Madeline's social need is going to struggle a little bit when she's spending so much time focusing on her grades. Okay, Madeline's decided that she's got a crush on Nion now as well, so yeah, I'll let them keep developing that side of their relationship. That should help with her happiness and her social need when I need to get those up. So that is the Tuesday class that Madeline's just come back from, and I've also got that notification that means she's doing well in the class, so she should get good grades for all 3 of the modules that she's studying this week. Hopefully A grades for all 3, that would be a nice boost. It's Nion at the door, and I just sent Madeline to bed. It's still quite early in the evening. I might get her to just wake up and come and spend a bit of time with him though. And he's asking her out on a date again. I'm going to say yes, and hopefully it doesn't go on too late, because it is already quite late at night and Madeline has a class at 9:30 in the morning. So yeah, hopefully this one doesn't go on too long. I just went to the park in Ciudad Enamorada because I know that there is a closet in the little sort of cafeteria area in the middle there where they can go and mess around, because that was one of the interactions that I chose for the date, because I thought that's quite an easy one to just go and act out. And also you can see at the top there, their relationship bar for their romance is quite high because they both have a crush on each other and they've been spending quite a bit of time together since then. Well, actually they haven't been spending a lot of time together. It just seems to be the way the dynamics work now with relationships, that if they're both attracted to each other, it doesn't take too much effort for the relationship to grow quickly. But unfortunately the reverse is true. If you don't maintain the relationship, it can deplete quite quickly as well. Felt like Nion was threatening to walk away again there, so I'm just going to get him to mess around now, because that ties him to this location. And it's given me the notification that Madeline has a crush on Nion, but I had already had that, so I don't know if she's just got more of a crush on him now or what's happening there. I always find it interesting as well, when Sims woohoo for the first time, you get that little notification that they're woohooing for the first time, but you don't get it for messing around. But now that Madeline has messed around with Nion, when she becomes an adult, the first time she woohoos with somebody, it won't count as a first woohoo, because messing around counts as woohooing. It's a bit strange. I think the game should have just fully committed to that and just said when they mess around for the first time that they're messing around for the first time. I feel like they are saying it's woohooing, but they're not really saying that it's woohooing. It's actually also why I wish there was another life stage in this game, and it's an unpopular opinion because I think not a lot of people agree with this, but I wish there was like a tweenage, middle school age in this game, because teens are the size of adults and they can basically do just about everything that adults can. They can live on their own and all the rest of it. And to me, they're more sort of like, I don't know, like an 18 to 25-year-old. And I feel like the child is properly a child and doesn't really represent what someone in their early teenage years would be like. I would enjoy if the game brought out a middle school pack and you could take your kids to middle school. But having said that, the high school years pack, when you'd go to the school with the kids, it's not that great of an experience. But I do wish they would add a middle school age group and that you had more offers and interactions, and you could have it that the Sims can have boyfriends and girlfriends, but all they can do is kiss or hold hands. There's none of this messing around, because for me I feel like messing around is basically woohooing, and the Sims should be old enough to be doing it. And if this teen life stage is supposed to represent a 13-year-old, they're not really old enough to be doing that and behaving that way, and it's not really appropriate. So I feel like they should have a middle school age group to cover off that in-between area. Madeline's trying to sleep on a bench because this date has gone on quite a long time and she's getting quite tired. I forgot that dates in this game, for whatever reason, seem to last like 8 hours. So I am probably going to end the date early if I can without offending Nyan, so that she can go home and get some sleep before her class in the morning. Okay, the date's ended itself anyway, so I need to very quickly now go home and try and get some sleep. Not going to be able to get very much sleep before Madeline's class, and she's also hungry as well, so hopefully she can get a couple of hours sleep in her bed, because her bed does have an energy of 10. I don't want her sleeping on anything else because she'll regain energy quicker sleeping in the bed. I'll wake her up about an hour before her class so that she can have some breakfast before she goes in, and then I'll probably get her to sleep between her first and second classes, because she does have about a 4-hour gap between the two of them, so she can get some extra sleep then. So this morning, Madeline's got a couple of those neutral moodlets where she's feeling fine about things. Yeah, I think that's related to the fact that she had the single and loving it lifestyle. It will probably take her interacting with Nyan a bit more for that to go away. I think they might actually have to become partners and make the relationship more serious for that to go away. I think just having romantic interactions doesn't make it go away. It just creates those fine moodlets that she's got there. So I've still got the positive notification there for Madeline. Of course, that's her last class for that particular course this week. On the Wednesday, that's her done the exam. She's still tired though, so I'm going to have her go to sleep before her next class, which will also be an exam for this week. Madeline's come back again with that positive notification, so I think that means she's done well on both of the exams today. I'm just having her tend to her garden, and then I'll have her get something to eat. And there she is wearing that dress that I use in every one of my playthroughs that I really like. I wish I could get that dress in real life. Nyan's just standing out in the street outside the house for some reason. Can I invite him in or call him over? Or I can call him over. Okay, I'll call him over. He's got keys. He should be able to let himself in. And Madeline's calling him over while she's sitting on the toilet. But hopefully, since they've messed around now, she won't get embarrassed if he does walk in while she's using the toilet. Just going to have them cuddle in bed together. And I'm just thinking I'm probably going to move Madeline into her new house now, since I've not got much else going on. Tomorrow is just the class that she's already done the presentation for. Her homework's done, everything else is done. She's got nothing else to do, so I think I'll just move her now. And the first step in moving Madeline is to take the plants with me and to take Blarfy with me, and then I'll be ready to go. So I also picked up a couple of other things that were lying about there. Let's see what all I've got. Don't think there's anything else that's very specific to Madeline in the house that I need to take with me. Take her high school diploma as well. So that means I'm taking with me the high school diploma certificate, taking her computer, the decorations box, Blarfy, the plants. That little teddy bear was there already. She got that for the date, and I'm taking her university course book. I shouldn't have needed to take it if it had been in the bookcase, but it was left sitting out on a table, so I've just put it in the household inventory just to make sure it comes with me. And there we go, I'm obviously selling the furniture, so I'll be left with 17,000 simoleons, so I've still got a good amount of money to live off of day to day in the new house. And here we are in the new house, and already I see a mistake because the mailbox is in the middle of the hallway. I must have forgotten to put a mailbox in this when I was building it. I quite often forget that in Newcrest that the mailboxes are removed from the lots. So I'm going to go into build by mode, I'm going to get rid of that mailbox, and I'm going to add Blarfy and all the other things that I took across with me. So as I tidy up the house and get it ready for Madeline to live in it and get ready for next week's episode, I'm going to end this week's episode there. Madeline has moved house, she's completed her first week at university. I'll just put a little clip at the end just to show what her GPA was, and we'll pick up again next week. Excellent news, Madeline got A+ across all 3 modules there and a GPA of A+ for this term, so I've signed her up for the next term, and the next 3 classes she'll be doing are there, and because her grant has now come through, it's paid for, so I don't have tuition fees to pay. And that's it for this week. Thanks for watching.